Today, in preparation and celebration of the upcoming Beetlejuice sequel, I will make a sandworm, but with a little twist, so grab yourself a cup of coffee and watch till the end. I know that the sandworm is an obvious choice, but I just wanted to make one because, it's the most iconic thing from the movie, I guess, aside from Beetlejuice himself, but I'm not up to making an action figure of Beetlejuice right now, so I'm just going to do a sandworm. I wanted to use up some of the junk and leftover pieces from other builds I had laying around. For example, for the body I'm using plastic from the glue packaging and some extendable tubing covered with Mod Podge and wrapped with craft foam, which I had since my Boba Fett helmet build. In case you were wondering what is that white powder I'm sprinkling everywhere, it's baking powder. It helps set the glue faster and additionally bulks up a bit so I could cover some gaps in the craft foam. Though craft foam was the MVP of this build, I had this feeling that I'm cheating a bit. I mean, it's great for making all those weird shapes, but I wish I could do more future builds using just ordinary leftover junk from everyday use objects like Stutson does. But then again, crafting is not about setting boundaries for yourself, but rather creating something using any means necessary, aside from 3D printing maybe. That's like the easy way, and besides, I don't have a 3D printer, so yeah. For some background, Beetlejuice was a movie that came out in 1988, and initially I wasn't a fan. It was very dark and gritty and a bit too scary for my underdeveloped brain, and although I watched it as a kid, I didn't actually get what it was all about and dismissed it for a while. Then came the Beetlejuice TV series on Cartoon Network, and that one was a lot more accessible, though still a bit depressive, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. By the time I was able to grasp the concept of developing individuality and analyzing things, I rewatched most of Tim Burton's works up to this point, and aside from absolutely loving Edward Scissorhands and Batman, I've gained a new perspective on the Beetlejuice movie. It was certainly more complex and adult-oriented than I remember it to be, but that might be because of the TV show, which differed significantly from the original movie in terms of character motivations, setting, continuity, etc. So when the news came out that there would be a sequel, I was kinda hyped. After 36 years, I can finally consciously enjoy a Beetlejuice movie. I hope it's good, fingers crossed. Okay, back to the build. The teeth was made using several glue cap strings cut into teeth-like shapes and armature wire, since the internal and external sets of teeth are somewhat different. The tip of the glue cap will serve as eyes on the inside head, and the bigger eyes were made with transparent cabinet door bumpers, painted red from the adhesive side, which I will glue on later. The tongue was made yet from another piece of foam I've taken from a pen drive case. After carving it into an appropriate shape, I drilled a hole and inserted a armature wire so I can bend it to shape. For the paint job, it's just plain old acrylic paints. I'm not very good at painting, on which I'm constantly working in hopes to improve. There is always a point where the brush is going too far or there's too much paint and I have to frantically try to correct the mistake, which in most cases end up worse, but you live, you learn, I guess. Fortunately, the sandworm is mostly black and white with occasional fleshy tones in its mouth, so it wasn't too bad this time. After painting the base colors, I gave it a dirty wash followed by some light dry brushing. Now, regarding the aforementioned twist, I wanted to make some kind of a crossover with the Dune universe because of the second part of the Villeneuve version recently came out. In the movie, Beetlejuice is terrified of sandworms, so I thought, what if he domesticated one and rode it like the Fremen of Dune do? I made a mini Beetlejuice with an armature wire, glue cap, a bead, and some thinner wire for the hair, covered with some more baking powder and glue mix. Of course, I painted him appropriately with black and white strips on his tuxedo, or rather what's left of it. And lastly, I made his legs using heat shrink tubes. Once he's done, he will sit on the Sandworm's back and have a blast while riding it. As for the setting, I thought it would be funny to make a small diorama called a Sandworm Sandbox, with a setting of a Saturn desert as seen in the original movie, complete with floating door and background. I found a small wooden box and filled it with a flower foam, you know, the one that you stick your flowers into so they stand straight. I covered it with PVA glue and then sprinkled some actual sand. The door was made from a piece of wood and some coffee stirring sticks. I also made those weird branches in the background with more amateur wire painted dark red. And for the final touch, I painted some black and white stripes on the box itself. And it's done! It was a fun build and I do hope you liked it, and maybe you could write in the comments what would you want to see me making next. Although I have several more ideas in the pipeline, I am really curious of what you might propose. I was actually planning to do a giveaway of this one, but given the recent events, I'm a bit hesitant about this, and besides I don't really know how to do this properly, so maybe you can give me some pointers in the comments of how to do it legally, you know, and fair and square. That would be cool. Oh, and let me know if you would be even interested in such a thing. Anyway, that's that. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, have a nice coffee and see you later.